ɛna womanya ɛwɔ sub constituencies ne mu ɛna NPP ekita 57 ɛno nso ɛda ha yɛwie ɛwɔ Oti region.
Yes, yɛhwɛ Oti region. On the Oti region ɛde south problem be ba Ghana ha. Amanfo ayi dede amomo pa amakɔ court aye bibia. Di yɛhwɛ sɛ south na abeguan constituency. Ɛyim sɛ Fred Agbenyo na MP elect. But the yɛhwɛ figures no. Whether south or no punish MPP for say mommy and to abanibia or punish aban na yɛhwɛ numbers no.
But when you're 2000.
16%.
I'm saying one of his lowest scores around the country.
No, voter region will be a 9.6. Because my Kaiser Jenana, a co-honor say a brand new free chromo bano.
Yeah.
Who say, Mammy for me, and be boy MP and the MPP for Duku. Oh, besides the A. Mammy for we are. I buy my one to a baby para all sign and Yaku could grad you. Didn't know. I don't have figures now to say.
NDC ABM
Yes, and this is the first election on my end. Subsequent election, so whether the punishments and answer San NPP figures next year, or one constituency. But OT region generally still green.
Baby,
yes. After creation of the region, on the NPP, after creation of the region, OT region. On show appreciation.
So na
still na akoye. Still green. And I feel crowd there. I green and more. Everywhere. It's still the region almost the NPP fast.
Okay.
Now the Abanity region is a home to Abama.
Once I him for no do no.
Now more quality.
Show appreciation.
Yeah.
Say Abana ya the engine almost. Ebema bino votes in a power.
Oh, he be a vote about Kunjo Casa minimum for
or that
or something.
But esi ye boy hona ya sorry so na so far ye areas are meant to be once no a sorry na Ablekuma North say was a empayfo ebomodi amomo na yenti ona kwan bi on be fa so resolve the course be ade enchi na emabu besan kogu honom no ebetumi akodane asem foforo dia na obeka at this point mwahunu presidential na we parliamentary kra no ndc awie menim dia beba ebeka se betumi asesa enye possible nti afuto be na ade be ma wo e sa parliamentary ho ntokwa na omo eko wo miamia hodo no
emra etumi ehwehwe nsemu nyansa ene abojo cherry etumi hwehwe nsemu ma no kra dadi nti se wasem eyeda ɛsɛ ofa emra kwan so na ye pese wasem enye denra no kra bedadi gidigidi bia ni ho atumi asolve problem gidigidi bia ni ho atumi de ni awope abrɛw uye gidigidi ni wi a agesa ye santena se na ehwe asem no gidigidi na mfa mamu in the first place eyere so a asem be court court a wo de wo adanse die ni ade nyina akɔ a ngudinimdi beba wafa ye ma okokoye report abena ewo Ablekuma North na baby na ye say naka bi ewo dan bi mu enkrofo bi esesemu no mu ne ade gidigidi ne ade last minute no wo mo panipa abre bi no ye deputy general secretary otuko
no former right yeah
Ninka sa be di adanse se omo kosoro no
omanko hu shi
eni ho eto de bia yese e de ha oba se ofo se o parliamentary candidate ono na wadi nkunimu a momfa mra kwan so na ye hwehwe mu e ambase wadi nkunimdi ebe ye ne di pinchen de enye kura enkanka NPP NDC for de se na mwadi nkunimi ye Rollins breso kura mwadi nkunim sa etino NDC yes
okay
NDC National Democratic Congress
yeah.
Tiye menkaise je Rollins kura omudi nkunim sei menkaise je Rollins apenso omunya sis dodo sa wa Asante region menkaise omo penti almost the whole country this green ebi ansisa etino mubronya yesononko ejise obi adwene sɛ biribi ɛkyerɛ n'adwene anaasɛ sisi bi ɛreba etia no a abɔdwokyɛre mmom na ehia na mmom na nye gidigidiɛ.
But I say,
akra mɛsɛw na maka just 1 minute ni sɛ meka sɛ Hillary man efiri Sisala ofiri Golu but the same region Upper West.
But I say na unsa Damongo constituency basa ye sorry ye ma mabuni bi ndisi mabuni bi ekosi office no nti ye nya ene suppose fo ache emrante no dumienu amode omo ebefa emra kwan so said is AC ekan ye no so party edi nkunim na akoye basa emra so gu unim se abato mo basa yon so na emra ne chewa wa na bukura na nya mfiedu ya ma nkura no ene 10 years we fiase nti abanyoko na wokoma no adi nkunim eye n'adwuma na wo se fiase eno na opena na nti die sie wodamongo na wo hwe wo honom no isi officer wo mudi omudwuma na mabu no ko twa agatomu ese no a be sie ne kwa na ho se results no enya emaye results no enya ema bonten wodamongo abato empesua ne so na posifo de ho krata aba Grace Ansa Akrofi, or your Assistant Commissioner of Police, Data Public Affairs, Nensa and Shasie. Na or cheso much nipa dum you say omokoko we are. So ewo honoma and nam so a post for this ankrata yaban eno no and she mono access suspects are almost a come we no and na eko say nyoma ewo honoma so say on mine ejapade ebi eye ennyoma hodo bi a wo mo didi dwuma no mo chese isi office so mo twaja etumu eti dama nkwa no ewo savana mantemu eno ma che wo mo no ati DC na tena yen so ba bia DC ti no ehon so no omo sese ennyema wo no mo eno mo san so sese ennyema bi o collation centers wo ni nyina ekeka ho bi eno dan chen so a omo se suspect ne san so ko bowura mo school feeding project wo mo warehouse watermelon northern region asanso wiewie nuane ni ade enuane ni ade wo nyina no omo san awiewie a aka ho ache so moko bu dan nani school feeding project warehouse no na emra asomu no enti footages attacks na ekoso enioma sese ne koro no omoboye ni nyina no positive force omo saka eno na yo munyina so omo dia futu emma obi bia ese ade bia wo ye no ya hweyie mema na nya se o party adi nkunim nti wo sese ne ma ye basabasa wiewia niema na wakotena fie omo bechewo wote so a emra no ene ebedi aha ne de wo esi na fe ya sorry so edi amegye so ene abena poko a wennie esi ohene ene kwakutwum omo nyina eka me ho ahomachi ene edi dwuma no edi ama ho yada wase dwuma die no de aka eto so
Money. Alex, look at Nankasano, a dear manager, with a chapa. The game pack by no be here. I'm so, and also I'm here, and also payment, a good. The mamma stop, we see the monkey and get another call. Game pack because I need the only one see the crowd. Also, when you screw with the call, and also I am 3 times a day. I am 9 o'clock. Why in 12 o'clock? Why not 6 o'clock? Now once the Kura Ukita 54, yet the title tax in about 48 Kura. When you be your half, the game pack there, a good farm. The mommy who say, Marino, Mamma Niji, the same target as a communion better said. 1 billion crown, maybe there, man.
And yet, dial star 946 hash. The chop, they didn't for game pack agree so. Nabina Mula Bebre, and the for gamepackgames.com. Nyan church move. Game pack agree, and a market. So, and you want to end if you do watching.
In a forgotten time, she ruled with a Yes, she awakens in a new era, searching for her place in a world that has moved on. Amwenima's era. Rediscover the legend.
My name is Jean Mensah. I'm the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. I pledge to peace and to carrying out activities that will ensure peaceful outcomes before, during, and after the 2024 elections. I pledge to ensure that in everything that we do, in all our activities, we embed the principles of transparency, inclusiveness, and responsiveness in every aspect of our work, as we believe that this will ensure and guarantee peace before, during, and after the elections of 2024.
Yes, Ronya song, Afipatuyen, and Adom TV Asanko Faba, a series and enjoyment. Adom TV 9 lessons and carols. Afi, it's yes, Bamaya will be one. It's 3 wise fools, 3 wise men. Ombasamba, Ometimia Dada King Herodana.
Mepacho mame drop kuko entumiensa. Mame drop is kameko ako cheese na drop useka. Yes. Yes, I mean. Yes.
Na Mary mame betimi abu Joseph mame. So why you hang amane bana nye Mariana. Wait there. Emane mpo ebo National Theatre. Eye Adom TV 9 lessons and carols. Bra, na benya mwe ni nyina. Eye meme da 14 December 2024. Yebe be gate 5 p.m. sharp. 7 p.m. Eye live Adom TV so. Bra, na be birthday revival choir. Na wotimi na say the evergreen American House be wo. Rest music. Ebe too much. Eno baroni. Obetina ho sa. I say, odi be wuso. Na ne kra no. Kuma we stars na be ma wasrea ma bibia. She any ma pay na. Eye 50 Ghana cedis per. So be so auto tickets na intermedia. Enye dial star 714 star 003 star 3 hash. E wo networks ni nyina so. Adom TV. Ye wazo ye.
Franco Trading Enterprise, yeba enyene. Na se mu kan niema papa ene ho akade a mutimi ye free open niema bi to say mobile phones say ye iPhones, Samsung, Tecno, Nokia ene ne ekeka ho nyina e Franco Trading Enterprise eba the computers bi to say laptop, desktop.
Senator Jim Rawlings was facing a former constituency chair of the MPP in the Polyclotic constituency, that's at Dabraka and its enclave. She has comfortably maintained a seat, making her a 3-term member of parliament, 39,000, that's again 23,716. And David, you're also being told that when you go to the Ablekuma West constituency for the first time, it's flipped to the NDC. So let's look at the trends comfortably by the MPP, held by the MPP. But in this year's election, Reverend Kweku Adom has flipped it for the NDC. Also, Honorable Francis Xavier Sesu Amadina has maintained the seat for the NDC. Now, when you go to La Dadiko Topon, there was a gentleman who was contesting there for the NDC. He's also won it. When you go to Adenta, David, let's look at the trends. Yeah. You know, Akosia Menu was contested, one of the keenly contested ones. Their primaries were a bit acrimonious because the contesting one Baba, who we know is very closely associated with the vice presidential candidates of the MPP Napo. So this is how the trends have been. And it clearly tells that when it comes to presidential, they tend to vote for the NDC more. Okay. But parliamentary, they change their hands. This gentleman, who is also the brother-in-law of, we are told, of the vice president and also the MPP presidential candidate, Honorable Mohammed Ramadan, has maintained a seat, comfortable victory, almost 19,000 gap. So this is how Adenta is also looking like for the NDC?
So we'll be going back to the smart wall and be doing some, analysis and share some more data with our viewers. Now we know that out of the 276 constituencies, we have 217 in. So gradually we're getting closer to getting all the collated certified results to share. But Dr. Lee, if I may ask this question of you, the NPP clearly has lost. And people will say that the margin they lost by is really huge. Now, we have often said this, that if the Ashanti region, people in the Ashanti region step out in the numbers to vote and vote well, their voter turnout always beats that of the national turnout and has, a reflection on victory. Based on what we have right now, where the NPP has lost, and of course we know that the presidential candidate for the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has considered defeat, what should be their strategy? What should they be doing right now, especially in the Ashanti region? I ask this because they spent 15 straight days in the Ashanti region, kept going to and fro, coming back to the Ashanti region. It didn't seem to work. They chose a running mate in Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh. Again, it didn't seem to work. How should they take this results? What should they do going forward?
Yes, thank you. Ashanti region is indeed a very significant space for the fortunes of the MPP in particular, and to some extent, despite the fact that it doesn't come in real terms, the NDC know that when they make a certain percentage, it also impacts on their victory. But for MPP in particular, I think the odds were against the party leading to this 2024 elections in many facets. The first one was the performance of the government in general. Generally, Ashanti region did not feel that the government did enough for the region to whip up their enthusiasm to give them another mandate. The second one was the candidate. The man Bawumia came and gave Ghanaians a lot of hope that he was capable of doing. But along the line, the excuse was that because he was not the driver and just the mate, he could not do enough. But when he was making the promises, you were making the promises as a mate who had what it takes to deliver, help the government, that you were going to be an integral part to deliver. And since that one did not materialize, I think he didn't come out as a candidate who will whip up enthusiasm among the youth in Ashanti region to go and then vote. So the odds against the party were too many. So I think they should strategize. The reason why, let me just tie this into why I felt even before these elections that 2028 is going to be more crucial and more competitive, more difficult for all of us as a nation than this one. This one was pretty much straightforward because the government had performed woefully and Ghana needed a change. Leading up to the next elections, we are talking about two different dynamics. For the NDC, they have not actually outwardly prepared anybody to take over from Mahama, who is constitutionally mandated to do only one term because he has already done the other in the previous regime. So that is going to be a contest, if it is not handled well, can lead to internal situations that may not augur well for the fortunes of the party. For the MPP too, we all know the circumstances that characterized the primaries, the presidential primaries, and then Bawumia eventually won. A lot of people doesn't see a straightforward endorsement of Bawumia in the next elections. And they are going to look at the general nationwide scenario and how they can get a candidate a winnable candidate, somebody who will sell to the conscience of the whole Ghanaians in general, but the Ashanti region in particular, because MPP usually when they are winning, they don't win with so many regions. They need the two major regions, Eastern and Ashanti region, to coming out to vote in their numbers. When they come out to vote in their numbers, it helps the fortunes of the party. So they need a candidate who will be appealing to these two regions, who will whip up enthusiasm among the populace in these two regions to come and vote. So that is also going to be very, very crucial. So you are looking at Napo, who was brought in to be vice to Dr. Bawumia in these elections, and then you ask yourself whether going forward he stands the chance of being a credible candidate, not to be vice again, but probably lead the party, because he has the background from where the World Bank of the party is. And then if you ask me, I have my reservations about it. So if it is not Napo, who else can come out and then maybe help us get the Ashanti region to come out in their numbers to vote, not just the Ashanti region, but also hip hop enthusiasm among other people in other regions. So because these questions are unanswered, it is very difficult for any of the political parties to see a clear path into the future, particularly in the 2028 elections. So it makes it quite crucial, and it all boils down to decision making. And if you check the performance of the NDC in this election, boils down to how well the party were able to get their decisions right. And that's why I commended Asidun Ketia, who is the chairman of the party, because there were so many controversial decisions. And if the outcome is like this, then it means that apart from the fact that the government didn't perform well, they got their decisions right and took advantage of the situation, and then have overwhelmingly won in both presidential and then parliamentary elections.
But so you talked about a winnable candidate when you mentioned the NPP. Is that to say that going into 2028, the presidential candidate they had in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia should be looked at again? Is not a winnable candidate?
To a very large extent, ordinarily, I think he's the one who have been sold by the party very much. And one of the arguments that even brought him for the 2024 contest and was the fact that because he was vice to Nanado, he was known, he was very popular in 2016 in particular. Why do we now have to get a new person? Because Mahama is a candidate who have been president, vice president before, president before. So if you pitch him against somebody who is relatively very unknown, that is going to put the NPP in a very disadvantageous position. So it was one of the reasons why he was endorsed for the 2024 elections. But you see, his performance in these elections may make the NPP rethink that decision and probably think that, yes, it may not just be about how we have sold the candidate, how the candidate is known in Ghana. We have to also look at some of the very petty dynamics, national dynamics, and then put out a candidate maybe early enough, sell him, because if the candidate is good enough to meet the tastes of what usually bring our supporters to vote, I think we can sell him well enough to turn our fortunes, because the popularity of Dr. Bawumia did not work for us in the previous election. So why do we go about selling the same argument in the next one?
But Prof, is it just about the popularity of a candidate, or it goes beyond that? I mean, this time around, people are being real. Now, we heard the vice president once say that the economy is what you feel in your pocket. So yes, you could be one of our own. Yes, you could have done the digitalization and all that. But this time around, let's look at our reality.
Yes.
And then vote. Is that what happened now?
Yes, thank you once again. At this point, I think I will go differently from what Doc has already said, in the sense that this election that we've gone through, I think it went beyond the person of Bawumia, the candidate. It is a kind of, it is about the government. the performance of the government. The government had performed very poorly. The economy, as we are all emphasizing, has been very bad. And in addition to this, the government didn't seem to care about the concerns of Ghanaians. Take the issue of the environment. People thought that, no, you have to do something different. And in fact, they came to power on the back of using the environment as some of the issues they were coming to tackle. But Akufo-Addo came. Take the issue of corruption. People voted in 2020, especially 2016, massively for Akufo-Addo because they thought this guy can really deal with this canker. He came and it didn't look like that. So I think the performance, and look at the way it has swept through the whole country. This is something that goes beyond Bawumia. I think rather that I would say that, but for Bawumia, the situation maybe could have been even worse off, because notwithstanding the challenges, of course, some people thought within the party that Bawumia has not been a known party member for that long. Yes, that is there. But what Bawumia brought to the campaign was his personal integrity, something that people felt that, no, this guy has this integrity thing that we can go with. And therefore, the election we just went through, it's not about Bawumia per se. It is about, it is a verdict on the government and not Bawumia.
Let me ask this question. When Dr. addressed the election, defeat in this year's elections, one of the key things that I observed was that Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh Napo, as he's affectionately called, was not there. Then I asked myself, if, let's say, hypothetically, if the NPP had won and he was going to give a victory speech, will Napo have been there? Is that communicating something to us? Now, listen, you were my running mate. We went into a battle. The outcome has not been as what we expected. I'm going to give a concession speech or address. Let's go. He was not there. Is that a big deal or two? It's not.
First of all, let me say that what Bawumia did has been a very, very smart move. And what he did had saved the country from a very big situation that would have developed. And linking that to the question of the absence of Napo at that event, I think that some individuals in the MPP may even have disagreed with Bawumia, especially at the time he went. Some may have seen that or would have thought that, no, you should have waited a little bit more.
Waited for what? This is a man who says
everything.
He's into digitalization. His men on the grounds have worked.
Everything.
On the evening when we were here, I think it was around 2 a.m., when we went to the party's communications directorate and spoke to our correspondent on the ground, the office was virtually empty.
You see, the NPP had, let me say that, they had expected something to happen in order that they will win at all cost.
Are you talking about maybe some rigging, some stealing? I just want to be clear.
I will not be that forthright, but I believe that they felt that, look, even though we can see what is happening, there could be some ways to win. This is what I felt. And for that matter, there will be people, and if you look at somebody like Napo, the kind of person he presents, I believe he disagreed with the vice president
coming out at that time.
I think so, because they knew what they really were expecting.
No, but again, for me, from where I'm sitting, and like Dr. Ali, if I may come to you with the same kind of question, but let me paint a different scenario here. When we spoke to our correspondent on the ground, my colleague Kenneth JC, and you were here with us, you saw their office. There was no activity. What else could you expect from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? That come and say, well, we have done some kind of checks, and he said it in his concession speech. Based on what we have gathered so far, there was no way that we're going to win. So I concede. And he congratulated, the president-elect. Do you agree with Professor Akote when he says that he thinks that, well, he had come to, concede too early?
Yeah, I think Prof was just making the point that some party members might have felt he came too early. Some party members might have felt, but you see, Prof, if you listened and analyzed Bawumia's address well, he did not just say he was conceding defeat. He also added that they have overwhelmingly won. By the data. It is when you are close that things can turn around. But from the data, he said for winning overwhelmingly. So the difference was too wide that
for you to.
It is almost impossible for anything different to happen. So the more you waste time in doing the needful, the more you are jeopardizing the very precious peace and political serenity that we have enjoyed, that the kind of reputation that we have earned globally was at stake. And then it also adds up to his own reputation going into the future. And as a politician, one of the greatest things you should learn to do is how to accept defeat.
Exactly.
Accept defeat with good emotions, good temperament, and then you wait to see the next elections.
So based on what you just said, how smart was that concession speech or address that he gave yesterday morning?
Extremely, I already, immediately I got here, I was commending him for what he has done, and particularly because of the fact that, like Prof was saying, this may not be a very popular decision within the party. And that is where you show leadership. As a leader, sometimes you overlook consensus and do the most pressing thing to do at a particular point in time. And that is something that I have given it to Bawumia, that it's one of his greatest shots. I as a person, I admire his emotional stability in his career as a politician. And he has shown that even within the MPP ranks, how he came out to lead the party. People were complaining, but if you were not doing this, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do this? But this man maintained his composure, and even when everybody was predicting that he was not likely to be given the nod to lead the party because of the tradition of the party, because of his own newness to the ranks of the party, he was able to emerge overwhelmingly victorious. So it adds up to one of his personal ingenuity as a politician.
So, Prof, a while ago, you made a statement that made me ask whether you were wondering or you were trying to put across that, somebody was trying to rig or steal or something. And you say you don't come out openly and say that. In these days elections, how will you say the vigilance of the NDC in this year's elections, how key would you say it is in their victory in this year's elections?
I think that vigilance in this case has really paid off. The vigilance of the NDC should be credited for having to protect what the nation has actually said. And let me say that this is a repetition of what happened in the year 2000, almost like that. Remember, in the year 2000, Ghana was trying to move away from the military PNDC, NDC kind of thing. And people didn't believe that it was going to be possible. And so when that time came, the NPP realized that, look, looking at the national mood, people would want a change. But then we need to do something extraordinary in order to protect whatever Ghanaians' decisions that they were going to make. And one of the things they did was to make sure they police this same ballot box and the polling stations. In fact, in the Volta region, including the OT region, I was part of it, that we bus people from Accra, polling agents from Accra, in order to go and protect the ballots. Remember, at the same time, they deployed, the NDC government deployed a lot of the military all across the region. Okay? They were deployed at the various polling stations. But notwithstanding this, the MPP was so determined that, because remember, at that time, the MPP didn't believe even the polling agents of their own polling agents in the Volta region. That is how come I took 2 bus loads of polling agents from Accra, Kufuor bus, 2 bus loads for Biakoye and Buem. And this is the same thing that I think NDC has also done.
So let me come to you, Dr. Ali. The NPP came to the Ashanti region and they campaigned vigorously. It didn't seem to work. They chose a running mate from the Ashanti region. Again, it didn't seem to work. What next should they do? Should they tour the region and still engage with the people here in the region and say, yeah, we thank you for what you did? So, what should they be doing at this point in time?
As a last resort strategy, the MPP felt like, yes, we have disappointed you, but you see, we are still the better of the 2 evils. So come out and vote for us. And it is better, it is better you vote for us than to allow power to go to the opposing part. It still did not work. The bottom line, the lesson going forward is that everything that you want from the electorates, it boils down to that single thing, governance, how you are able to govern well. You see, if you implement policies that affect the people positively, you will not have last-minute political gimmicks to change your fortunes during elections. Honestly, I heard people speak about the NDC going to Accra to do their last rally and the MPP also going to Accra to do their last rally. I don't think it is those last rallies that affected the electoral outcomes of these elections. Or I don't think it is the many days that NDC spent in Ashanti region or MPP spent in Ashanti region that affected the electoral outcomes of the 2 parties. I think that, you see, rather than going to undertake projects in the last year or sometimes even few days before elections, when you are in power, right from the first day, govern well, implement the policies that have positive impacts
on the
general well-being of the people.
So what you're saying,
make it less
forgive me, Doc. I just want to ask this question. So you're saying that even the last-minute commissioning of projects, we had some in the Ashanti region, some, Agenda 111 projects where the president himself came down and commissioned. You think that, the people do not appreciate it?
That is too simplistic. That is overly simplistic. And this is a tactic or gimmick that political parties have done over the years, both the NDC and MPP. And then Ghanaians have become used to the fact that in the last year of a regime, they will come and then sometimes initiate projects. Even if you vote for that same party, they may not even continue to do it until the other election is coming. So I think it is something that is a strategy that the political parties should know by now, that it is not going to work anymore. This is something you have benefited from in the past. This is something that we have become so used to as citizens in Ghana now. And if, like I said, if you want to make political gains during elections, please, right from the beginning of your tenure, implement policies that have the potential to better the lives of the citizenry. And when it's getting to the elections, you wouldn't have much to do or much to say. After Kufuor's first term, from 2000 to 2004, there was not much to do to win the next elections. And if you have time, the 2008 elections, but for internal political wranglings among the NPP, it would have been the first time that a party will break the eight. And if I look at the trend, governments have now flipped to 3 or 4 times. If you ask me, if I look at all the trends, so the first one was in 2000, the second one was in 2008, the third one was in 2016, and then now, so this is about the fourth one. I think the most realistic time to have maintained a government beyond the 8 years was in 2008 after the Kufuor's regime. But for internal distance, he implemented projects that affected the citizens better than the last minute thing that the various governments have been doing after that time that I'm talking about, after 2008.
So let's look at that of the NDC, because I asked how the MPP should go about things based upon their losses. You mentioned that, listen, going into 2020, they need to have a winnable candidate. That's how come I asked about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and all that. From where you sit, do you think that Kennedy Japong and the Matthew Puku Prempeh doctor would want to rear their heads into 2028?
They are going into opposition. We are not likely to have as many people as we had in the previous primaries. But the more obvious people are those who contested Bawumia and are still around and will still have the age, will still have the resources, even in opposition, to come up. And one person that stands very conspicuous in my mind is Kennedy Japong. I think he will have the resources. He has the zeal, he has the enthusiasm to come back. He may be thinking that his chances, and if you look at his performance in the previous one, I think he has the chance to come. Alan Cham, I think if he was still within the ranks of the party, but where he finds himself now, it will be very difficult to come back. I fancy so much less Matthew Puku Prempeh, because when he was even made the vice president, I did not see...
You mean the running mate?
The running mate, sorry. When he was made the running mate of the current vice president, I did not foresee him making that impact that Bawumia himself did for Akufo-Addo in 2016. So Matthew Puku Prempeh may come, and but I see other people from Asante coming up and then giving him a much better competition for the Asante votes.
Prof, you're a governance expert. Doesn't continuity help? So looking at what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia did for the, NPP tickets that brought them into power in 2016, 2020, a lot of things he did, the addresses to the nation, talking about the economy and all that. Wouldn't it be prudent enough for him to be allowed to put his foot forward again in 2028?
Yes, that is what the MPP will benefit from most. What Doctor is saying is true. There is going to be other competitors, but looking at the person of the vice president, who he is, his character, the way people respect him for his integrity, and then also the way he understands issues that Ghanaians or issues that are of interest to Ghanaians, I would say that the best bet for the MPP going forward should be Dr. Bawumia. Even though I know that he is going to get a lot of competition, especially from Honorable Kennedy Ajapong, because look, those guys are going to point to this result to make their case that, you see, you didn't vote for us, look at it. But that will be very, very, very simplistic, okay? But then they are going to use that a lot against Dr. Bawumia. But then on the issue of Napo, it's unfortunate he had not brought anything. For me, I would say so. He had not brought anything.
Somebody just sent a message saying that he was a bad choice, wrong choice. You agree?
Very, very bad choice, honestly. You saw the noise, the hula baloo that greeted his nomination or choice or whatever. His choice was a very bad one for the MPP. In fact, of course, even if they were going to come out with somebody from Ashanti, there were other guys in Ashanti, like the education minister, and people are from Ashanti. Kwamina Japan and all of these guys were there that they should have focused on. But in these parties, sometimes those who make the most noise are thought to be the guys. These are people who can march on. But you see, Ghana is growing. Ghana is becoming more and more rational as a nation.
More discerning,
more knowledgeable, and they have seen a lot already of such people.
I want for us to stay a while longer with the NPP.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something that has brought a question on my mind. So let's move to the NDC briefly. In 2028, John Mahama definitely is going to do only one term.
Yeah.
Should Jane be prepared for 2028?
For me, I will still say that yes, if they want to have it easy, and also based on the performance of their government, this 4 years government, and the way she will carry herself, if she will move on this way, I will believe that she should be their best bet. Because as of now, it is not clear. You cannot see anyone, though they should forgive me. I believe that people in the party, some of them may not be happy I'm saying this, but you see, all the time you should see somebody who is like well prepared ahead of time. But you cannot see that at the moment. And also looking at where she is coming from, the central region being one of the areas that receives a lot of attention in Ghanaian politics, I would advise that, left to me alone, the woman, the professor, should be prepared towards that.
Would you say that Ghanaians, or Ghana for that matter, is prepared for a female president?
It depends on the way she carries herself, the way she performs. For me, let me say this. Her acceptance speech the acceptance speech that she gave far back then when she was nominated or he was
appointed.
Yes, he was appointed. I gave a lot of respect to that lady. She really, really delivered. You could never have compared her delivery to Napo's delivery. They are never comparable. And I believe that, you see, one thing about those of us in academia is that we may not come out to be very loud, as some of them think that if you are a politician, you should be. But that is not the way to
How
go.
do you respond to people who just say that those were scripts? Somebody can sit down and script something for somebody to read, and does not mean that person will be able to deliver given the opportunity.
That if the person...
You said a delivery.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it could be that somebody could say it was scripted and it was delivered perfectly.
If the person... I didn't see the lady as reading from anywhere.
The teleprompters were there.
Sorry?
The teleprompters were there.
It was still with her.
The teleprompters were there. You go ahead, make your point.
Okay. So whatever it was, the way she delivered could convince anybody that the person knows what she is talking about.
I'll come back to you because I said we're not done with that of the MPP. But I want you to have a bite at this very one. I mean, he says, well, it will be the best decision for the NDC. Do you agree with him? And aside from that, if you agree, will you say that Ghanaians are ready for a female president as well?
Yes, it is quite early for us as analysts to preempt something very concrete at this moment for the NDC. But I am pretty sure that the NDC going into the 2024 elections already had an eye on the next one because the choice of a vice president came in prominently and should reflect what they should do going into the future. It's not about female or male. I think it's about performance. In terms of female and male, Ghanaians may want to experience a new thing. So that is a plus. If any political party has a very credible female candidate. So what is left for Professor Jane Opoku-Agyeman to do is to be an impactful vice president. You know, honestly, Bawumia came out in 2016 as somebody who was very, very, very different from all the vice presidents we have had before him. He came in as the competent hand for the political party to drive it to correct the incompetencies, the seemingly and alleged incompetencies of the previous regime. So he came with a lot of credibility in terms of competence. So people were expecting him. So he virtually spearheaded the 2016 MPP victory. People were expecting those competent hands to reflect in the governance during Nana Ado's era, and it was not seen, and the government is punished. If Nana Jane wants a bite into leading the party, she must come out clearly, very explicitly, as a competent hand, not just a female, a competent hand. Let us see that because of her, Ghana have seen this progress. Other than that, I think the NDC has plans beyond just presenting a female candidate. There have been people. There are people who have had this ambition for more than a decade now, who have prepared themselves for more than a decade now for a transition from the Mahama to another candidate. So it will not be about a female president. It will be about competence.
So in a few minutes, let's wrap up on what I said earlier, because I mentioned I wanted us to take a look again at a few things about the NPP, and ask you, Dr. Nyaba, that what should they be doing going forward? Yes, they have lost, but should they come back to the Ashanti region and engage with the electorate? Maybe say sorry for some wrongs they did, and then make some assurances to the people here, knowing very well how key the Ashanti region is. Because again, if we read posts by Eugene Boachi Entry, the Subing MP, that they lost the elections in 2022 thereabout, because at the time when they were saying that the finance minister should go, the president was not listening, the president, blah, blah. You know the story. We know Kennedy Japan himself, when he was also trying to win the flag bearership, some of the things he said and said they had also lost it some years ago and all that. How can they, as a party, unify themselves, become one, fix the cracks or differences that there might be going forward? How should they do this?
I think it is not merely coincidental that after every 8 years there is a turnover. There is a kind of complacency that sets into every regime, especially after the first term, the first 4 years, and that is what has affected the NPP. I think sometimes it is only natural by the way they behave, both the NDC and the NPP, that they get the opportunity to take a backstage. And if you look at the way NDC prepared for these elections, you will notice that they analyzed their 2020 fortunes, and they had a time because they were in opposition. They had a space because they were in opposition. They put their house together, took very major decisions, and then it brought them where they are now. This is an opportunity for the MPP, and it is good for all Ghanaians. That if you look at the trajectory, assuming they had another opportunity, I tell you, it would have been worse for the party and even Ghana as a whole. Okay. So it's a time that they should do a radical reorientation backstage, clean their house, think through their candidates for both parliamentary and then the presidential elections in the next one. And then, because Ghana needs a credible opposition, Ghana needs somebody who, a political party that is ready enough to take over the ranks of power when the ruling government is not doing well. So we hope that they because they are not in government now, the seeming arrogance that characterized their second term will not be there, because they will be humbled by the results of these elections. They will go back to the...
Prof, we have to take a break, but I just want to give you 1 minute, and then we'll go on that break. So, Prof, the question for you is, our constitution talks about the fact that, governance is a continuum. So if a particular government starts a project, you come and you continue it. The direct principle of state policy. There are some projects that this administration has begun. With this new government coming in, led by John Dramani Mahama, what are expectations on those? Because I'm asking this because within this regime, they say, well, hospital has not still been commissioned, Afra has not been commissioned. There are some other projects that was begun by the previous administration that was not completed, it was not commissioned. So in this administration that is coming, there are some other projects that have begun. What are your expectations of this government about those projects that have begun by the outgoing government?
All right, thank you very much. I think that listening to candidate Mahama, they have made it clear that they were coming to continue with most of these projects. They were not going to behave like in the past. When a new government take over, they forget about all the previous projects. But then also for free SHS, which has become one of the main contentious issue, I think they have also made it clear that they are not out here to cancel it, but then to work now with a very good free SHS system, devoid of some of these challenges we've gone through.
All right, so we say a big thank you to you, Dr. Ali Jamba. He is with the History and Political Studies Department, KNUSC, for being with us since 4 a.m. Professor Martin Akote is a rector for the Valley View University. He is also a governance expert. Thanks very much for being with us as well since 4. To my co-anchor man, Eugene Osetutu, who's still right here with me, I say thank you to you. And to our audience, thanks very much for making time with us. We're now taking a break. And if we get the opportunity, we'll come back to you with more, analysis here from Studio 995.
Munche ni you atiefo. Afei percent eswat about 61.74. Na come bibi. Say nipa about 17%.
The first time I say to abana opinion or the area for Republic no.
Anko e dey see here. And this lose our election. Not just a hano. Nipa dodo
government in power no.
Government in power.
Nipa dodo anko to aba no.
Olusu ye.
Okay.
Let's have an opposition for no. Omama mo say, hey, any say Rollins ko dia, any yen so yen ko tun boom. Because abre no. Na ehu won kofuom. Nti officer ko police station be ye ba buru na be fi ye ko second round. First round ura kufuo enya about 48%. When we enya 50% plus one. Went for a second round. NPP won.
After parties ni nyina do omo de bebo ni die.
Omo nyina de omo de bebo ni ade. So now NPP winning election 2004. Ghana for from 78 at Yaba 61.74. You got 2004. Not 10 out of Peja 85.12% change chapter 2. Chapter 1 na 2000, chapter 2 na 2004. Sabreno na JH Mensa no MPP foi ora hakon so adima na Akufo-Addo and outgoing president. Kikri MPP.
I think side time campaign manager na J Kotanka Obechi.
Yes. Kikri omo retaining power 10.74. Was also called in play no so no. Voter turnout no cost same as Rollins. 1992 50.16 base. Obedi including for the second term, a cost 78.20%. That is over retaining that view. That is what 1996 and 2000 figures naturally. Then 2008, the new candidate, a year, one, or campaign throughout the country, one. Now, 2004. Ghana for number 2, but boom, are retaining the incumbent, the President of Otiaku Nyaso. 2008, BBS and Swesi, from 85.12%, sharp, that drop about 71%. And then, actually, a buyer party Otiaku Nyaso 61.74. That is say, opposition be winning. 2008, a drop over the previous one, 2004, 85.12%. A drop by 71%. Opposition win. When there was a second round.
Wow.
And Tinache say, we are buying Otiaku so.
It will follow trend and I say anytime Diana voter
2000, you call second round. Into any basa 2018, so you call second round. Into Sekoban side, you say you call second round. Ura John Dramani Mahama will take you over for the 100 days a year campaign. Retake campaign where you 24 hours, 24/7. And all they call that election. The Padono appear to about 79.43%. It is an idea see here. Ura Mahama now or president at the time with Dinkuni. If you say a cost into Basha, anytime voter turnout, a cost incumbent winning in 1996, 78, 85, 2016, a confirm one. 2016, no way Akufo-Addo. It is the last one, Uncle trying. In your court that election with 79.43% over the previous election, that is 2012, and then the C year, and it's C form. A C form. Reduction, 69.25%. That's just say, voter turnout on a drop of you over near C 2012. So just about 10% Uncle Tuaba. A swati.
A basa aswa.
Who opposition, a ruling party, who will lose election. Opposition will be winning. That is why I can say. The turnout when we had the first term or second term. 69.25%. Sabreno, COVID, near the Nina womb. Go for 2 years, so the one can be obey Arena, then confession nose marks. To something, about 78.89%.
Turn out Nasa Pija.
And who's also President Akufo-Addo was retained. Not just say anytime turnout ever drop from 2
And one significant thing about this is that swasha ni nyina no turnout never from ni nyina no. Na say abaya ote so no so no the second term
nanu fiada 78.9 pagya ni mu a owura ba mu abedi nkunim. Send your trend in its trend. Then a timber from Ura John Mahama. That was what we were looking at.
All right.
And then they see full of 78.89% in 2012 a drop. Even in Ashanti region, we were told, and I say, yeah, monitoring Kakrabo, MISR, also opposition on Onyabem, Opesoba, and you are not in the Namifiefi. Die to a
encouraging for some moments. Now, Abaya Hotel Kunyas also want to be up. San Manago or Metoman, oh, Minko for no Betomam, Wasumeshi, and a cocoa fast I did by now. About to this is Saiba, a Jinanoma Bibli, but Assem. The same Yanko next one. Yanko next one, yeah.
Now, we saw something here. Fair ballot. And a rejected ballot. Rejected ballot and say, you do paper amount, ballot paper amount. Yes, you could team. You could team went to me and team for Swabaso. And you know, who's where would I consider that? Rejected ballot.
Yeah, fast sport ballot, and that's when Chairman into us.
Sport ballot, and say, Tima went to me, you know,
now the choir,
what the cock was that anymore. And you
rejected. Passport, no
fufu. So the mount.
And I say, yeah,
and I say, yeah,
exactly. And I would team no where team exactly. And I'm going one pounds and a can baby.
Very rejected. Now, we shall rejected ballot now. 1992, the highest in the history in terms of percentage, not absolute numbers.
So
3.63%. And now, a lot of people became worried. Say, it didn't see. As the electoral commission, only voter education, political parties, 7.53%. 1996. Now, if you look at this figure, what happened? As you see, if you buy over the 1996 one, simple. And yet, Ura Kufua, Professor Mills, Ubian Kankra.
Okay.
As you take a crown, government was changed. And one on. As also Pediani, I call 2.13, you retain. You got 2008. 2008, first round, 2.32%. Second round, you won't 1.02% of rejected ballot. A timber form about society. You know your baseline. In the 2012, you got 2012. Rejected ballot, it's also Pejai. I got 2.24%. A cost for a retaining 2000 rejected 108. Rejected, there was a second round. First round, a cost for second round, 2 candidates, a tip by 1.02%. Government was changed. 2012, rejected ballot equal 2.24%. The ruling party to 1.54% over 2.24%. 4 years, 2016 drop where Akufo-Addo came to power. So now the trend is telling you that anytime rejected ballot drops, it favors the opposition. Okay. Now, 313,397 rejected ballots.
Candidates apart from
retained. Now, and couldn't cry bunu. They will demonstrate it.
All right.
Rejected ballot.
Yeah, next one on Yentwasu.
Now, Osha trend ya Yebunkunta say rejected ballot ni a siwo constituency. Yehun bibi say rural constituencies no.
Rejected ballots.
Region to say a Tiffy
from 1992 to 2016.
Exactly.
Who data no
data.
Regions almost
ladder no that top. Senate be a top be a rejected ballot is sipa. Na upper east no ahemfo and the tiding NDC, proportionally, it affects the NDC more or Upper East. Second.
You don't have in a 12 hours region. Across
almost Northern region, the same rejected ballots. Into the northern regions. Into the year 92 to 2016, 2024, what the analysis a better assume. Now, so we share northern region, 2.57% rejected ballots. Central region, a swing into regions, 1 NDC 2. Now, over central region, a swing, and so 2.46%. Then you come to Western, and this over Greater Accra, Greater Accra, almost 2 abani. The reason I rejected ballots is in Mami's room. Low voter education. Why not? Rally, and then among your dummy of rejected ballots.
But for that one, I'll give it to the political parties, especially.
That is what they should do
this year. Yes. Education.
It might have contributed the reduction. So low voter education. Studies that even in America, 2016, rejected ballot, Georgia State, 10.13%. Wow. Even in America, actually say low voter education. 2, illiteracy rates. But urban constituencies, rejected ballots. From columns and rows, maybe only line na atutum. It is a particular and the next one. Previously, easy for Nabaso.
Okay.
Say, rejected ballot, Nippon and Kotraban, Satamu, or boy unit a good and the likelihood say Obitima said, and
now could travel the Kotraba.
Every year, Obi Obeka was a me try units women this one, and I'm between Obaka to us. Obua, Obe Prince, police station, generally kicking Tokwa. A bedu is of Akotubal and Opus are not about them.
Yeah, go anywhere.
When you say, I'm on your code green and blue, MPP NDC, MPP blue, NDC green, Abamo. Now, 2008, 2012, into a moment we need 4. MPP so 2000, 2004, 2016, 2020, almost we need 4. Into 20, this is what young Queen. Oh, into now parties until other smaller parties somewhere. Yes, you show more.
And a discussion for another day.
Yes.
Smaller parties, our performance, no, very poor. Very poor.
And yet, peculiar to Ghana, there are 2 parties where we know we be Democrats and Republicans. Well, Ghana, MPP,
strongholds, no.
Strongholds.
But when you say, Ashanti, they say, no.
Yeah, 96 and Ashanti recorded 65% turnout. They lost. If you record 70 because Ohana or more than war, Ohana base in war. Into the end, because
no Makumesh and now said the NDC strategy in the region worked.
Into war, stronghold. Oh, into normal ben and conformity, one to me, Oma kwanu ye ni nyina omo dwade hu sisɛn enoma omo hwehwɛ omo ni di ni yie omo di ni yie
and people year comparison
exactly
development akoso wa say omo na to aba na kese pa say Ashanti region and to aba na wo lose enti wo hu ne sa no aden na at least meet half of their expectation po
enye abaton kra po gold wo ho we share the businesses all over the country. We can say yes, you should businessmen on more now. Asante phone so won't be brave from Asante region. Obu onya Asante, but Kumasi ni ewo. Man engineer ye the business na di nyina. Into no ye ka omo ka ho. Oh, into no only omo di ni say omo business. So why so me to abama. Let me business ko from. You see can say mo ko from. The workers who come into omo ka.
Me say me ntu mo bi kra me ntu. Nipa bi a almost feel say to say port issue there struggles among 4 firm within the last 7, 8, 20 crowd the COVID-19 among 4 intimi and said that papa But in 2016, abogafo twa plane ticket eba Ghana ha, ebeto aba, ebeye campaign di ma MPP no. This time around, ebebre ama.
Adwuma no wen.
Twa ticket ebeto aba, ema kwabrane. Abra na wonfa.
Wo.
Ofe na wonfa.
Wo. Nti so woni nipa na ntre yi a. Ahoy your stronghold said there. Now, we share Eastern region. Eastern region, so information you say there's a drop.
Yeah.
And some of the Akwatia.
Very crucial.
Very crucial. And there is a tsunami with stronghold. That's the home region of the outgoing president. How did you treat them? How did you nurture them? Omajuma is saying, Omasitemu is saying, Corn is saying. It is a union for Sobia Abano on
the party
bar, obedi. It is so called the party bar. It don't know the motivation is very high.
But in as much as say can politicians relationship with a man for penra nkomodi die mu ni ade no, it's like omo say Oliver Twist no. Die ne nsa ka bie no. Amanfo osu no aka na no on ka bi ma ban no. Kana so munya mfaso bi ani nyina enwi ebom.
Well, you will need to be sir. But for me, they be America. And no man, a moye diamamo. And no, now, on be expressed on the ballot paper. Sika would be to our rent. Bills.
And easy.
Even in the era of, say, Yakotwaba, on not buying, the party will opposition, or per se the party bar bam. Now, on also be near or shushe. On bet 0%. Data next say every election year, improve our voter region. Okay, let's see how it will play out in 20.
Sir Obama Pokwase on his Facebook on he will go down as a good president, but terrible leader of the party. His actions and inactions. Sir okay, Eugene Boachi.
Yes,
yeah, former yeah, Bibisa, Jebi Danko be one call independent. Now, Honorable Eugene. The 90 MPs who mastered courage and called on the president to relieve the finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta of his position due to who voted for us and therefore didn't deserve their vote in 2024. They have therefore punished us severely. Vote due to apathy. Good night to you all. But say 2007 primaries, you know, Atta Kennedy. Chasing the elephant to the bush.
The police, yes, NDC stronghold, rejected ballots, but consistently, Oma demonstrate their commitment to the NDC. So they voted for them again.
You have time now, analyze it. The MPP thought, say, choosing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will do the magic because what I say, better fortunes, no kakra, Osha 2012, 2016, and even 2020. Yes. So they thought, say, making him the main man would further better or more effort.
38.1%. It is an improvement over 2004 when Aliu Mahama was also according President Akufo-Addo. There was a slight improvement, 38.10 to 2020. Very, very impressive. Say MPP turnout. MPP nya 46.40% our northern region, having improved so massively. Say from the lowest of 34 to 46 to now many far away now. So it's turning upside down.
Yanko next one na other issues no.
Western region, typical swing regions.
As
it's one of the regions. And also
swing a Japanese at the form team.
Yeah.
Mekuduka the form team.
Exactly.
Shama Atiato.
We come to Shama.
Shama.
Yes.
Oh, but Yanko anymore.
7-0. This time I'm turning. I'm going to lose a lot of the seats over there. Yanko anymore.
All right. Yanka man 4.5. Yeah, live so social media handles na nti obetimi akoso follow discussions na way fourth republic elections no trend analysis share from 1996 to 2024 na amanyofo so be the accusations no back pointing accusing fingers but the basic enema no ankasa no musuban
we predicted
what you say party no betima ye enema bebre but suban na more than the die no any adwuma na mo ye no
Greater class swing.
Yeah.
But even all the posts, but nobody say, yeah, so Greater Accra, it went for the NDC. And move on.
Then parliamentary seats, 2012 and 2016. So let's come to 2020. 137, 137 plus Fomina, and then MPP crowd, 100 crowd, they are struggling.
Obuafo Kodwa Asante of Suhum, Cynthia Morris, Nagona West, Chinaba, Speaker declare seats no vacant. Na Akwakoba say the MPP caucus na be minority. Na ehwansema caucus aba kai yera afenyo marking or say no. Omu ntimi nko nkotena minority or no crave bi kakra bi na mo atena. Because majority no ma do so to the extent say omu nko sa space na the majority no. Right now they even need people to get a formidable minority.
Na yanko top 10.
Yanko ye cut top 10 constituencies na. The ye hwe abu akire nyina wo hwe 2024 sa largest constituencies no Dome Kwabenya 182,000
yes
644 ono ena edikan Ashaman etosumienu 170,644 Amasaman 170,371 and 162,058 Madina 158,908 which happens to be the only constituency in Ashanti region appear or top 10 146,421 and a Trobo 145,343.
Obetumi maximize vote no hold ebeboa 500,000 but just 5 constituencies ebeboa wotumi adi nkunim
yeah
and then ekosi here Dome Kwabenya in the kokoi ni sesifo
obi so oba beje oman no akwakobo no baby
that is what they will say because Eban sir who parliamentary candidate
MP oje ya so aka gran we dey akwhwe form
so and no eka then we're saying that Usha constituency says Shama anytime from the history 1992 Shama on two skirt and blouse over the presidential and parliamentary which I keep for 2008 over the NDC so we predicted that general election if then we also predicted that Usha constituency say Lejokuku Kunyano. Yes, I love Okuboy, hardworking, very intelligent, brilliant man. Wa buam for medical doctor or shayari for or buaomo, but trained in Fivano. Say, oh, a Juma Wayeno, he lost so painfully to him, and he supported because the show council will be very fine. Then you look at
Mekwabenya, Ashaman, Eutusenya East, Amasaman, Adentan, Lejokuku, Madina, Ketu South, Kwabri East, Chobo. I think say NDC afa.
Now I think 9. Apart from Kwabri East,
Kwabri East,
9.
So out of the 10 largest populated constituencies,
and 9, and we said it. So when you go, so I'm saying this from here. It's almost we pay up almost support base. So and yet, so these politicians they be making look. Ora particular Abuama. Or ye research ye or sheda a bonko for pa a momko ye studies one constituencies and one fa no ye ni baby and I want to work from one fa no ye. Then he was very confident. He was okay. So we go school or when him there or ye party ni than akuma so okay. So here already bekai in 2012 kikinsi obe win is at a question. Australia aba. So or on the ticket of one of the parties. Oh yeah, no obi na many bitimi ehia de yedi nkomona na msiu. Twan emfasika mu bia. Yenye research ma wo. Ni assess wo hwese. Abefa. Osi you wati. Hunu ye dan ho a. Nti da mo ye primaries no. Na mini mutimi ye kokko. Me hwe ni din na me ka kire ni say. Primaries no mo ye no. Onya 4 1 2 3 4 one crowd wenya because now delegates now your mind say wo akotano the campaign manager you see these are some of the things recent election akwakoye science and data akwakoye elections akwakoye bibi say ye yimfifemu scientifically unbiased na hu a aboawo na emom wudi
certified parliamentary results okay one more ewinie ene one more attitude go we Aguna Easter, Questa, Pukia.
A solid woman.
A Juma or your constituency. No. Sometimes I wonder where Onyan resources because, say, a Juma or your constituency, no, I'm not ordinary.
Or co-contest. When you see Hawaii, I don't know a Greek minister on the mills. We share could see Hawaii brothers in the
resources in the day.
Resources from Kuta, but we cannot afford. Go the acceptability in our constituency is so huge. Or cut it across.
What the central regional minister position?
And I'm not surprised. Say, if you look at the difference now, just people in cry
17,256 as against 22,225.
Over 5,000 difference.
Yeah.
You know, so over fans. So this woman is solid, very solid.
Yeah.
And playing games.
Of 1,000, so I'm 332.
Presidential candidate in Ukraine 0-0.
And no mum dear.
Ukraine 0-0.
Now go fair paluna mum penamame.
So
the posters are for creating Munia. Vote. I posters the doors to change vote on ya.
So we the candidate to Accra when you
West.
Yes.
Gomwa West na
Richard Jan Mensah. Yeah.
Richard Jan Mensah. Wa man Gaba no.
Not this. Once a while, then people. But
Gomwa West in a far upon side.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Enti no na ye hwe eye
akura say the sense for but
the tiri na ni tiri keka pa ono anka sasa